mentioned, Femi has been doing wonderful job. We have been receiving feedback from most of our graduates, honestly, especially in terms of internship, career development. I've always been wanting to see personally to appreciate him for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. We are all your students.
I think we should have people who are on the ground trying to bring a lot of things on the table and not to take things from the table. You can bring things from the table and then take more. Anyway, we have gone online and we've been on it. Wakawa, last week you were you were on the hot seat.
Yes.
This is a hot seat program. Kayode is here with us. I'll put him on he's a member of our committee, our Speakout committee. You are today to what Fasina did to you last week. If he's on the right side, do it to him. If on the wrong side, do it to him. But I know it will be on the right side. So take it up and then discuss Fasina briefly and let him in to talk to us on the topic. And what's the topic? Veterinary medicine at the international and national axis. A gold mine. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I guess the others will join us, but for those that are already with us, I want to say good morning once again.
Good morning.
You're welcome to this week's episode. We have a special guest this week. I believe most of you have been hearing the name, but today there will be opportunity to meet him. Someone who has been very instrumental, to some other people's development and who have served as a source of inspiration. It's nobody other than Professor Fasina. You know, Professor Fasina is a seasoned, not only, we will see you as a seasoned scholar, not just a researcher. You have been doing wonderful in your field. It's someone who has over 300 publications and surprisingly, even over 130,000 reads from his publications. This is highly commendable. Professor Fasina is very versatile, even though currently he's an expert in the One Health and epidemiology area. Professor Fasina is also versatile in molecular biology, immunology, and infectious diseases, emerging infectious diseases, and microbial and antimicrobial resistance, to name a few. So we're happy to have you on this week's program.
Thank you.
Professor Fasina is going to tell us a lot of information, useful information for us. It will broaden our knowledge, especially on the international scene about veterinary medicine, talk about opportunities for vets, as well as even this One Health concept, because some vets up to today, especially the younger ones, are yet to be really knowledgeable on this One Health concept. So Professor Fasina, you're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the Global TV, thank you for giving me this platform. Dr. Wakawa, or Professor Wakawa, I know that we are friends, so you won't put me too much on the hot seat. And if the seat gets too hot, make sure you pour some water to cool it. So really, the opportunity to speak with colleagues, I don't see myself as a guest here, by the way, to start with. I'm one of the joint stakeholders in the vet profession in Nigeria. So I feel myself at home every time I have to speak with veterinarians in Nigeria. And that's how I would consider myself. I don't see myself as any externality. So now coming back to the issue to be discussed today about veterinary medicine, about international scene, about how we can get involved. I will first like to start that by choosing to be a vet, you are possibly in the best profession you can ever think of. You see, a number of people do say, oh, but I wanted to study medicine, but unfortunately, because I can't get in, they push me to this. I want to do this because I can't do it. They push me to this. And indeed, I did vet grudgingly and all those things. I don't know your reason for selecting to be a vet. Personally, I wanted to be a vet right from when I was in primary 3. And the best decisions that ever happened to me is actually becoming a vet. Because indeed, when I was selected to read vet medicine, indeed, when I got into UI then, that year, some people met my father in the university and told him, oh, why don't your son change to medicine? His mark can qualify him for medicine also. And my father told them, sorry, this boy, he had wanted to be a vet since he was in primary 3. Indeed, before I finished secondary school, we visited so many vet schools. We visited the Mo plantation in Ibadan that talked about animal production and things like that. So everything around animal had been my life, right from about the age 8, 9, 10. So I never see myself being in the wrong profession. And if anybody is in vet medicine, I think you are in the right profession. The most important thing is finding your feet within the profession. This is what is most desirable. And the vet profession is also so wide that indeed you can become confused in selection. Because, you know, when we started in the first year, you begin to like physiology and anatomy. You say, oh, I may want to be a physiologist, to be thinking of all those processes in the body. Then as you are moving towards pathology, pharmacology, toxicology, you keep changing your mind. At a point in time, I want to be an abattoir vet. At a point in time, I said, should it be that I practice medicine or just have a poultry farm and all those things? So the opportunities are so many that right from first year until you graduate, you keep changing your mind again and again and again to see whether you are where you want to be. And the opportunity don't stop at that. Even when you become a vet, you can practice this. If it's not going well for you, you can decide to change. Like I heard just before we started this platform now that one of us is trying to become a politician vet now. So that is by the way. So you see, the point is that the opportunities is there. Indeed, I tell you, in the international scene, I've met with a number of colleagues. They kept punching us in the chest and said, you vet, why are you everywhere? So you talk of WHO, you are there. You talk of how you are there. You talk of this, you are there. You talk of environment, you are there. You even talk of UNEP, all these different agencies. Vet is just everywhere. And the need is, we are not even been enough. For example, I was reading a report some few years back. In the US, they need close to 30,000 rural veterinarians. In Germany, now they needed a lot of vets to be able to work in the system, because now as the field of One Health, global health is also opening up, it's creating more and more and more opportunities for us. So I will start that way. So about 2 years back, I gave a talk at the Vet Council session on about the issue of the Vet Council continuing education. And it was titled Beyond Boundaries, Fishing in the Ocean of Multilateral Organization. That discussion centers primarily on the multilateral organization and about how vets can get involved. So I will still borrow some of the talk from that particular slide, but I will be a bit more generic. So the truth is that, as I mentioned, the vet has a place practically everywhere. Indeed, I've known vets who become bankers, vets who lead industry, vets who are leading researches, who are leading cancer centers and different things all over the world. But the most important thing is first to prepare yourself competently to fit into wherever you want to be. You know, our current education, as much as it is desirable, it gives us the one competencies, which is what the World Organization for Animal Health set as standard. Every vet that is prepared in the university must graduate with a day one competencies. That means you have that general broad knowledge to be able to practice vet medicine and practice it competently in the field you've chosen. But beyond that, you then need to build yourself and build platforms around yourself to create that uniqueness in you. Because every vet can be unique, every person who chose to launch himself on the platform. You know, when you launch yourself on a platform or you jump on the stage, immediately you make yourself a target because all eyes they focus on you. They want to see what can you do when you are on that stage. So the training that we have in school prepares you generally, but then you need to begin to distinguish yourself in those areas. Okay, let's say you want to go into maybe pharmacology. What are the things you need to do to add value to yourself? If you want to go into the field of maybe supplies and all those things, what are the things you need to do to be able to distinguish yourself? And I must acknowledge, like the Farm Alert, it was mentioned earlier on this platform. You know, Farm Alert, recently, I know it created opportunity for some young veterinarians to be able to take some big grants from them to be able to launch and do well. Like I know a number of our institutions also, like the Bluebird, I know when it started, I know people laughed at him at one time and say, what is Bluebird and all those things. But today, it's a global giant. We know of animal care, we know of Dr. Alasa, we know of so many individuals who have taken this platform and said, no, I will take this challenge. The challenge will definitely come. There will be a time when you want to be down. There will be a time when you'll be at your lowest. But never giving up and keep pushing is the what. And if you want to go to the international scene, it even make it a bit more competitive because you are now only competing locally. You also want to compete globally. Okay. In that wise, some select qualities are needed from you, one, and not only that those qualities are needed from you, you also need to understand that you are going there as a representative of your country. And that's why when you see any of our colleagues or any of our citizens from Nigeria who do anything bad outside, whether take drug or get involved in anything bad, they will say, one Nigerian had, they will not say Mr. So had. So the same way, if we have a vet who go out on the international stage and messed up the place for us, they will say, those Nigerian vets. This is just how they will refer to us. They won't refer to us as, oh, those guys are, or that individual is. So at times, when you are on any platform, you don't only represent yourself, you are representing the larger interest of the profession. Let me mention briefly that in recent time, I just did a quick survey to know where we have some vets that are really doing well in their field. I know we've got vets in the World Bank, we've got vets in IMF, we've got vets in the Fund for Agri Development, we have them in ADB, in UN system, we have in FAO. Recently, they recruited about 4 vets in the environmental program, United Nations Environmental Program. You have them in IFA, the International Fund for Agri Development, and so many other places. And so the platform is just there for you, for me, and for everybody to be able to fly with both wings. And so preparing yourself is definitely important. Also, we have a lot of vets that are working in international organizations like the bilateral organization, like the USA, the UK, FCDO, the Canadian agency. Just about this week, I was involved in the review for IDRC, International Development. Canadian is a Canadian International Development Agency. They were looking to set up hubs across the different parts of the world, and they are looking for institutions that will serve as the base for the hub. So I was privileged to be involved in the review process, and we reviewed about 30 applications in total. And I kept emphasizing to the panel member that this your review. Yes, you focus on climate and health, but this review cannot be complete if you don't consider livelihood. If you are considering livelihood, it cannot be complete if you don't include vets. If you don't include vets, it cannot be complete because you'll be leaving behind the pastoralists. If you do that, it can't be complete because the food security system will be challenged. So you see, these are issues that link one to the other. So in terms of your usefulness and the sphere of practice or the sphere of latitude of things you can do, it's enormous. And so we need to understand that we can also be involved in development agencies. in terms of multilateral, for example, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals that we are targeting, supposed to end 2030, but I hope we'll be able to achieve many of those goals. If you look at those goals, there are many that are very, very much related to veterinarians. For example, goal number 1 said no poverty. How can there be no poverty if you don't involve vet, wherein you know that maybe 70–80% of the poor people in the world live in the rural area, and they depend on livelihood sources, which is largely around crop and animal agriculture. So how then do you exclude a vet? When you talk of goal number 2, which is about zero hunger, how do you talk of zero hunger and leave out animal protein or the contribution of vets to that? When you talk of good health and well-being, which is goal number 3, how can you not include the veterinarians? When you talk of zoonosis, you talk of neglected diseases, you talk of antimicrobial resistance and so many other things. So and each of these that I'm mentioning are opportunities for us to actually create innovative way by which we can get engaged. You talk of goal number 4, which is quality education. We know the role of vet in quality education. We cannot overemphasize that, right from both locally in the country down to the international scene. We've had so many Nigerian veterinarians and so many people that have been involved in developing competent education. And at times, I think we also underplay our importance in this regard. You know, like I was on a platform, one of the WhatsApp platform, and we were talking, and that person mentioned, say, you don't really need, he said, you don't really need, I think, expert, or you don't need intellectual in this. So I asked him, I said, how can you, on a platform like this, say you don't need intellectual in this? Do you know, we were talking about the issue of agriculture and all those things, and intellectual are not needed to do agriculture. I said, in modern time, if you really want to advance in agriculture, you need intellectual. For example, in a country like Netherlands, a single cow produces about 20–25 liters of milk, which about 10–15 cows will be producing in Nigeria. So if I have a cow in Netherlands with the quality of intellectualism they've put in the quality of genetic improvement and everything, the total amount I will use to raise that one cow and to make sure it gives me quality milk, which another 10–15 cows in Africa will be giving me, will make me to make more money compared to the Nigerian cattle or the local cattle in Africa. So definitely vets are needed in those areas. And the same way, if you pick each and every of the development, sustainable development goals, vet may not be relevant in all the 17, but definitely we are needed in so many of those areas. Even when you talk of things like water, clean water, or life underwater, you may think vets are not supposed to be involved. That is not true. Recently, I just had a PhD student. He's a vet. He graduated from Maiduguri. He came for his PhD with us. He did some very excellent work on how sewage system from the abattoir and from the wastewater treatment plant and the hospital system, how those sewage systems contaminate city water and all those things. And now, as we speak now, the boy immediately finished his work. He was given a job in Canada. He moved to Canada, right from South Africa. So so you cannot say vets cannot be involved in all these things. So the thing is that let us create, how can we be involved, or what can we do for ourselves to get involved? That is the more important thing. So right from your qualification, which qualifies you as a practicing veterinarian, to maybe building other things to add value to yourself. It can be administration, can be in trade, can be in logistics, can be in so many areas. We need to be able to do it and know that, oh, I am not just a vet that treats. Before they used to say the doctor of cockroaches and this, and that's how they used to refer to us in time past. But I know that has changed significantly now. Even those who refer to us as a doctor of rat and cockroaches, they are changing their mind significantly. I've seen a medical doctor who have met me before and said, hey, how I wish I know. I also have studied vet then. This is a medical doctor. We graduated together from Ibadan. He finished from UCH, I finished, and he met me in Kenya, and he was raising this point. So we have a lot of opportunities in and around us. So, but we definitely need to do it right, to be ready. One, even in terms of preparing ourselves, we talk about resume. How do you prepare your resume? How do you prepare your CV? Do you shoot yourself in the foot when you are preparing your document? Or how do you pitch yourself to people? You know, at times we become too humble to a fault. You become too humble and you begin to shoot yourself in the foot. You have opportunity to pitch yourself to maybe an administrator or a governor or a president. And then you don't speak of your strength. You don't speak of the strength of your profession. You just try to maintain a cool and to be humble. No, that is not right. It is not that you should be superfluous. At the same time, you should not undersell yourself. When you prepare your CV, you should prepare your CV competently that it can speak for you, because your CV is like your marketer. Where the CV is, you will not be there to speak. It is that CV they will first see and say, who is this person? We want to know more about him. Can we invite him or her to come and speak to us? We have a lot of our people right at the university, at the government, at the different platforms in the country, and who have opportunity to go outside, but they undersell themselves. For example, I've seen so many positions advertised abroad, FAO, WOHA, UNEP, UNDP, so many programs. And I see that many of us, Nigerian vets, we hardly apply. And I keep asking, why? Why won't we apply? You say, no, but you know, we only see the negative, the reason why we should not apply. We never see the reason why we should apply. And then you see people from other territory, especially from some country like Kenya, like Uganda, like East Africa, Southern Africa, they take the bull by the horn and apply. Recently, I have a young lady from Kenya. She is a young veterinarian. I think she's not maybe more than 10 years in practice, and she applied for a position. She got the position in an international organization, and she applied for, while she was there, within 1.5 years or so, she applied for a higher position in the same organization. And some people are saying, we hope you are not shooting too high. But she got the position again. I tell you, just very recently, she applied for a yet higher position, indeed, like a global manager for something. And this girl had got the position again now. So this is 3 international positions within the space of less than 4 or 5 years where she's been in this organization. And when you look at her, she's not different from any other colleague of ours. They finished together. Indeed, some of our colleagues are still back home, still trying to struggle and make ends meet. So at times, the way you package yourself and the way you sell yourself matters, and don't undershoot yourself. When you have opportunity to launch yourself on the global scale, launch it. And what you think may be the limitation for you may actually be the strength. You know, at times you package your CV, maybe you are a local leader, you're a community leader, like Professor Wakawa now. I've never seen him add a chief to his title, or I've never seen him launch and showcasing the fact that he is managing a community, because at times that may be what is needed. Have you managed people before? Apart from managing your research and managing grant, have you managed people? Have you done this? Have you done that? If you are involved in your maybe church or mosque community and you are able to manage some things and manage it competently and all those things, why don't you find a way to make sure it appears somewhere in your CV and say, but I've got this capacity to administer. I've got this capacity to do this and that. So this may be the selling point for you. You need to know that. Also, knowing how to utilize the resources we have around us, you know, especially the internet. The internet is a huge resource these days, and there are a lot of opportunity on the internet. And I wonder, we have a lot of young professionals. We have a lot of Gen Zs, a lot of young citizens who are able to, they can tweet, they can Instagram, they can WhatsApp, they can do all these different social media. But when you tell them to look for opportunities on the internet, then they begin to scratch their head. Then you begin to wonder, but you do A, B, C, D, E on the internet and you do it competently. How can you tell me you cannot look for opportunities online? I tell you, and there are a lot of opportunities online. If you go to LinkedIn, you go to all these Google Professional, you go to so many platforms online that they use to advertise competent job daily. For example, recently now, Germany just launched a 400,000 professional program. They are looking for 400,000 professionals to come into Germany to help, because now most of the professionals they have are either in the old age, and you know the birth rate in Germany is lesser than the number of people they have. So it is becoming a burden to cater for the whole people with the few younger people they have. So they want to migrate 400,000 professionals into Germany. How many of us have learned about that? What are we doing about it? Because this will also be largely in the field of One Health, field of animal health, and all those things. They have so many One Health institutions in Germany. Indeed, just recently, one of the most robust university, Charity University Berlin, just started a PhD program in global health. It's starting this year. And so I'm sure if vets applied, definitely you have a role to play in such institution. So we need to be ahead, not just in terms of social media and all those things. I don't see anything wrong with social media. I use it also to relax a lot.
Yeah,
but at the same time, the opportunity associated with it, we should be able to take advantage of it. This is what I'm saying. So knowing the right site to check, shopping in the right shop, what are your expectations, and keeping your expectation ahead of you all the time, and knowing where to get the right information is important. And I mentioned a few of the institutions that vets can have. Listen, if you want to work in a multilateral institution, otherwise you can also work in other countries and showcase your strength. So in terms of another thing we need to think of is interview preparation. At times, it is good for us to prepare ourselves right for interview. You know, going to interview is not just about the tie and the suit and everything you put, but about how you sell yourself and market yourself. For example, people want to go for maybe for virtual interview. You never test your video, your audio quality, your camera position. You never test whether you have a quiet environment to talk. You cannot just isolate yourself and get a good environment to talk. Because all these things, you may think it doesn't count. For those people who are interviewing you, they are looking at you. Is this person organized? Is this person, if we give him this type of a position, will he be able to manage it? And so these are some of the things they will be looking at while you are speaking. Your boldness, for example, when I was joining the University of Pretoria, they once asked me, oh, if you join us, what's your expectation? I asked them, I said, in a matter of 6-7 years from joining, can I become a professor? Some people in the panel laughed, and the chairman of the panel said, well, it will depend on you. Because why did I say that? I know I've had some years of experience behind me from MVRI. I know I'm not just coming in as a rookie into your system. So whatever experience I've had in Nigeria, you cannot tell me it's a waste when I come to a country like South Africa. So that is where you need to be able to sell yourself right and be able to speak with that degree of boldness. So in terms of also best practices for candidates, in terms of preparation, you see your skill need to be important. Your competencies. Competencies is what you get after you graduate from school, which they certify you that you are competent to be able to practice A, B, C, D, E. Your skill, you need to build it. If you are research-minded, you need to build your research mind. Your contributions, your responses, and the listening and adversity, and contribution to even institutions like our MVMA. If you are competent and you've contributed significantly to MVMA, or you've been part of the different maybe organizing the Congress, this and that, you need to be able to put it on your CV. So knowing your motivations, your strengths, your value is important in terms of how you get to look for some of these opportunities. And it's also important for you to build your competency framework. You decide on what are the competency framework that I have, and what are, for example, leadership competencies, what are my result focus, what are my leading area, how good I am in communication? Are there challenges I have that I need to improve on? What are the knowledge area that is emerging? For example, if you're a vet now and you are not in tune with all these modern technology, you may be an old vet. Before you know it, structurally, they will be keeping you behind and people will be moving on. You cannot compete with somebody like Femi on this platform who can even sell online now and all those things. So we need to also move with the time and know that this is surely an area where we can work. And finally, I would like to say also your network determines your net worth. It's important to build the right network. I'm excited when I heard recently that some undergraduates are trying to come for the MVMA convention. This is the right thing we need to be doing. Indeed, I was thinking if I have some money before the Congress, I want to sponsor some young vets to be able to come in for the convention. Why? When you do that, you begin to have clarity of what you want to do, even right from school. I know that I started attending the MBMA convention right from my third year. I was still in the third year in the university. I was attending the convention. And before I finished, I've had a lot of clarity on exactly what I want to do post-graduation, exactly where I want to be, and all those things. So this is important for our young professionals so that you don't graduate, first look for the first 4 or 5 years, still trying to struggle on what I will be doing, what can I do, but you can launch out almost immediately. And don't let money ever be your limitation. Money is not the limitation. Money is always there to follow good ideas. If you have good ideas, talk to somebody like Dr. Ibe, he will make money available for you. So, but you need to be able to first define exactly what you want to do. When you have good ideas, it is easy to sell it and it is easy to get support to be able to scale it up to what you want to do. I would like to stop here so that we can have some response and then we can interact through some questions.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Fasina. For those of you that have just joined us, I think we have Professor Fasina this week, and Professor Fasina is working with the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. He's an expert on One Health and epidemiology with vast experience in many fields. As you have rightly pointed out, Prof, most of our young vets especially lack the self-confidence to go for those positions. And in addition, they spend more time looking at some trivial things on social media rather than looking for opportunities. Professor Fasina have just given us the full package information on those opportunities, how to apply for them, and what it takes to apply for those opportunities.
Professor Wakawa, you are talking about a young vet. At what age did you diagnose?
I know, Prof.
I'm coming.
About that. Okay.
At what age? I'm coming so that you can give a clue. It can be possible at any age. At what age of practice did you diagnose avian influenza as the first person in Africa? No, let's.
Okay.
At what age in practice? Were you a professor? Were you a professor then?
No, I was not.
Yes.
I was a young clinician. So I'll still use the word young.
Good. And you were able to move this mountain.
Yes. I can say
and you knew what to do, and you did what you ought to do.
Yeah.
And you achieved, your name is all over the places.
Age
is it's not really a barrier. So I want you to
is just a number, actually.
Yes.
Age is just a number. So please, if you have comments, please kindly, or questions, Professor Fasina is here to address the questions, please. But I would like to also mention that I think in the past, this relationship between, I don't want to use the word young, but fresh graduates of veterinary medicine and those in practice have been virtually limited or non-existent. It's just in recent years that many of those vets have started actually assisting the fresh vets coming into practice. That's why I always mention people like the owners of Farmalad and so on and so on. Well, if you have questions, you can raise your hand.
As we are expecting the questions, Professor Fasina, you've given us the gold mine in the international platform. Do you have anything to say on the national platform?
Yes.
Because
Thank you.
I know you're a good connect. Anywhere you are, you're a good connect.
Okay.
Yes.
So the national platform, indeed, this is one. Personally, I believe in converting challenges to opportunity. Like in recent time, I've been having some discussion with some individual, and I said, come, the issue of the farmer herder crisis, do you know that it can actually be a gold mine for vets? And the person said, what do you mean? I said, one, in fact, in terms of redefining, let me give you this scenario now. The current trek route we are using in Nigeria was developed possibly between 1969 and 1972, maybe around or before most of us were born. We know there are some older colleagues, but that notwithstanding, how do you think that that trek route that was developed so far back or modified not too long ago can fit into the current situation of Nigeria? For example, in the trek route then, the heartland of Abuja, there is Garki, Maitama area, we are part of the trek route. And now cattle cannot move through those areas. Yeah. Cattle have to shift their place into nearby. So when you are developing opportunities to resolve this crisis, do you know that we can build opportunities for the vet profession within it? We can say, okay, can we develop some islands where pastoralists can maybe ranch their animal and all those things? If we go into full ranching system in the country, do we ensure that they build maybe vet clinical services or vet supplies around those places and see how many people can be engaged in it and say, oh, if you are not a professional, you cannot lead such institution or so. Can we begin to think of how the logistics and supply chain, for example, most of those movement that we see is movement in search of food. You know, in Kenya, I was involved in developing something for them. I was looking at this issue of some clashes that do happen between Maasai and the pastoral and the farmers too there. I was okay, why don't we use the riparian area along the water and they use it to grow grasses and food stuff that is needed for the animal. And then we create a logistic chain wherein people can move those food resources to where they are needed in the northern part of the country, and then reduce the friction of interactions and all these clashes all the time. So in Nigeria,
Prof, sir,
yes,
professional, sir, I think already digressing on that one, we're moving into this livestock development ministry. And I believe most of the audience want to know, how do I get to work with the FAO? How do I get to work with WHO?
No, because the question said national. That's why I'm talking about
okay.
Opportunity that exists.
No, after the national, he will move into, he will start moving.
So it can be that, it can be even creating or networking with the senior colleague to know what are the areas. There are still a lot of areas that we are under pulling our weight as vets in Nigeria, which you can do. For the international organization, it's simple. If you go to the website of most of these organizations, they advertise regularly. Like recently, FAO just advertised for One Health. They are looking for One Health specialists, and they are looking for many of them because they want to have them in so many countries, because there's an upcoming project that may be related to One Health. So you just go to vacancies at FAO. If you type it in Google as we speak now, you will see it will pop up. You just put in all your details there. It may take you like 2-3 days to fill in all the details because it is quite lengthy. But at the end of the day, it provided a sort of a PPF for you. PPF is equivalent to CV. PPF is personal profile form. So it come out like a CV. And that is there every time you then need to apply for any position in such institution. It's just a matter of going there. You can modify if you want to modify and click submit. It automatically puts you in the application process. For WHO, the same thing. Careers at WHO is there. It's an open platform. And most of this platform, I can tell you, there is nothing like, oh, I'm lobbying, I'm this, I'm that, I will use this connection. It doesn't work. If you are qualified and you win, you'll be there. I've been involved in sitting on interview to recruit so many people. And we've had graduates who are maybe less than 5 years in practice, beating deputy directors who apply for the same position and becoming the professional. They say, but is this person not too young? I said, too young is one thing. What do you determine as too young? Somebody who qualified and graduated in the university, I've worked for 5 years post-graduation. You can't tell me it's too young if he or she is better than any other person that applied for the same position. Yes, some position you need maybe maturity or so, we understand. But that notwithstanding, you can always apply. Don't always think that, oh, I will be cut down because maybe I'm from Nigeria, because I'm from this. At times, the system also want to create balance, but I tell you, there are still a lot of opportunity for young professionals to get involved in the international stage, even as early as now.
Yes, exactly. Because I used to wonder in those days, each time I see maybe an expert of the FAO or any other international organization, that person probably may have been from East Africa or Southern Africa. And I used to wonder, are there not Nigerians applying for such positions?
Exactly.
And to the best of my knowledge, professional, I think apart from you, I can't think of others on the international scene.
Well, I will tell you shockingly that we have a lot of Nigerians. A number of them may not be known. For example, I have a colleague, Dr. Junaid. He's heading the FAO ECTAD in Ghana. We have another one, Dr. Gasha. He's heading the one in Liberia. Indeed, at times they do challenge you that, you Nigeria, are you sure you are not overrepresented? And I challenge them back. I say, come. In Africa, what percentage of Africa is Nigeria? So for every 5 positions, we are actually supposed to get 1. So that's a joke, by the way. But that notwithstanding, it means that we have a lot of opportunity. And we also have a lot of Nigerians from other professions. For example, here in the FAO headquarters, I know of one Nigerian at a very senior leadership position in FAO here. He told me he's a Nigerian. And you know, when he first joined, he actually became a country leader at the age 28. He's a Nigerian, Speakout State. And when I asked him, when you applied, he said actually when he went for the interview, they told him, are you sure you are not too young? And he told them his point. He told them why he should be considered. And he was considered, and he moved from that position to becoming a regional director before he finally moved to headquarters here. In fact, so there are a lot of Nigerians doing excellently in so many fields. Not only in vet profession, and we are everywhere in most institutions.
So I think what the senior colleagues will do to help I don't want to use the younger colleagues, since Dr. Charles is allergic to the word young vet. What the senior colleagues should do is to be on the lookout for those opportunities and then making it available across various platforms so that our vets can apply. I think I will have to force some questions from audience. Dr. Chioma, you're welcome.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, Prof.
Unmute yourself and ask question.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
She's speaking.
Do you have any question or comment you would like to make?
Okay, sorry, I had to move from where the kids are so that they don't interrupt. My only question now would be that besides getting into the UN organizations, their applications and career, I know that there are other professional programs. If Professor Fasina would want to throw some light to that, because there are the young professional programs where people can go to volunteer or internship and that sort of thing, and then rise along the ladder. So I don't know if Professor Fasina wants to throw more light to that. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for raising that question. Actually, I don't want to be so narrow to only the UN system and all those things. But as you rightly mentioned, in the UN system, you have what they call YPP, Young Professional Program. This Young Professional Program is about the most competitive because it's thrown open globally, and every young professional, you are just like 2-3 years post-graduation, can apply, and everybody that applies is considered, and then they compete against themselves and they select the best, and those best they select, they bring them under mentorship. And these people are likely to become full-time staff in the UN system and continue all along their career life until they finish. There is also what we call Associate Professional Program, APO. Associate Professional Program are maybe young to middle to not too old colleagues who want to get into the professional program, and they may not be full-time staff, but they may want to serve as consultant. And in the US system, whether you are consultant or staff, it doesn't matter. You still get your salary. The only thing is that consultant, you are not entitled to maybe retirement benefit or so. But if you work for a relatively long time in the US system, you can create your own retirement system for yourself and not wait on a system to give you a retirement benefit. And under this associate professional program, you are brought in competent in your area of competence, and you are built along that line, and you become consultant maybe again and again and again, and grow yourself in that wise. And there's another one called professional short-term position. For example, you have 3-month consultancy, 6-month consultancy, and all those things. And this is an opportunity through which maybe more than 80-90% of the staff get in, because for every project, there will be some need for some experts. And these are advertised from time to time. For example, FAO in Nigeria advertise a number of programs that I've seen. WHO in Nigeria do advertise position, UNDP, and all those things. You can also get involved through that. Then there are professional project positions, as I've said. There are specific projects that are needed so many hands. For example, we have a program under the animal health system here called the EMC, that's Emergency Management Services. From time to time, maybe there's outbreak, large scale outbreak of a disease somewhere, they need like 20 vets. They will quickly do those recruitment from across the world. They will advertise quickly, people apply, they take you, they send you to such territory to go deal with the issue. And when you do it and you come back and you prepare your report and submit competently, you become rostered. You are in a roster. And so every time they have need for such people, they call you again and again and again to be involved.
Yeah, Chioma is raising her hand again.
No,
Yes.
after Professor Fasina, please. When he's done, I'll come in. No problem.
Okay, so there is also the senior level position, which is also competitive because there are not very large number of senior level positions. But to get yourself ready for that, also language matters. In the UN system, at least they want you to have 2 languages, and it's not only UN, even African Union system, you should have like 2 languages. Maybe if you can do English, you can manage some level of French with it, or you can do some Swahili, some other languages, Spanish is there, Chinese is there if you are interested in Chinchonchuin, and so many other things you can use to improve yourself, to make sure you are competent both professionally and in other skill areas. Thank you.
Okay. That's very good. Dr. Femi Kayode, do you have any comments you want to make?
Chioma is raising her hand.
Oh, Dr. Chioma.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Professor Fasina. I know I'd approached you previously to have a discussion about the FAO, and you were really very on it, and you were available to answer those questions. So thanks for all the mentorship and what you do for the younger vets. I know it might not be really obvious to everyone, but you're doing so much behind the scene, and I want to appreciate you for that. And the only thing I wanted to add here was it's the fact that maybe people can understand that you don't have to get to those very senior levels before you apply for the consultancy positions. I know while I was doing my PhD, and sometimes you can be headhunted really. So during the PhD, I'd applied for an FAO consultancy role and also did some things for the World Bank. So Professor Fasina, can you speak to how people can really highlight and modify their skills, make sure, so even within the veterinary profession, within the curriculum and what they had done, there's some very transferable skills. Can you speak to how the younger one can begin to highlight those things in their CV to be able to stand out and to be able to utilize those skills to apply for some of those consultancy positions even before they get out of maybe into the senior or mid-level positions? Thanks.
Exactly. Thank you very much. You actually raised a very important position, which I may have omitted inadvertently. Let me tell you, my first consultancy for the UN system, I did it with my first degree. I did not even have master's. I didn't have anything. And when I went for the interview, one of the people I met at the interview was my professor at the university. And I felt so small, having to come and meet my professor competing for the same position. But I tell you, I got the position. And I went ahead to, I think I was in Lebanon and I was in Egypt to handle that position. And I did it well, and I submitted my report, and it stood for me. Indeed, when I was invited to come and lead the team in Kenya, I was headhunted. I was in South Africa then as a professor in Pretoria. And they reached out to me and said, oh, please, would you like to come for this position? So it's possible. As Choma had rightly pointed out, and somebody like Choma is also an asset, you shouldn't let her go. Indeed, one day you should bring her to this platform to come and talk about
No.
her.
We're on it. Don't worry.
So you see,
good.
Yes.
see, there are
She's
some things
escaping.
you
She's
need to
escaping
do.
August.
Like I mentioned slightly, when you are preparing, for example, when you are documenting your CVs or preparing yourself, there are some skills that you have that you tend to overlook or maybe think they are not important. You need to emphasize them. For example, like I talked about, maybe let's say you've been involved in issue of One Health or zoonosis and things like that. Why won't you emphasize it on your CV? Let's say you've been involved in managing people or managing budget or so. Why won't you emphasize it? Let's say you've been involved in other issues that are outside the immediate purview of the veterinary profession. There is no harm in highlighting it. If, to me, when you are talking of CV, make it all inclusive, not exclusive. Anything you think can stand and count for you, don't knock yourself down. There was a time we were doing an interview for some young vets, and there was this particular lady who applied for the position, and I know this lady has competencies in what we are requesting for. I was the chairman of that panel, and I found out that in the stage 2, that is when they do the shortlisting, the name of this lady didn't appear. And I know that is what she did her master's on. So I was trying to query the process. I hope they did this computer organization well so as to exclude people who don't have the competency. And I went back to the CV of this lady and I saw that all these things she has as her strength, she did not include it in what is needed. Because when they set the criteria for interview also or for a call for advertisement, they will put what they call minimum requirement. If you don't meet that minimum requirement, no matter how good you can be, you are automatically dropped. That means you won't make it to the second stage of the interview. And so for all you know, what you think is not important may be what is needed in that minimum requirement and will pass you and take you across. Because if you don't have the platform to speak about your strength, you cannot be there. So as far as your preparation is, and as far as putting forward those things that count for your strength is, please don't shoot yourself in the foot. Make sure you include them. That's what I can say. I don't want to be too specific because if I pick physiology or pick the anatomy or pick the vet medicine or zoonosis, it will be this. But make sure that you are very broad in terms of what you launch or how you launch yourself, and every opportunity you have to develop yourself, never lose it.
All right. Dr. Kulle Obiade, you're welcome, sir. Hello, Dr. Kulle.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Dr. Femi Kayode, I believe you must have probably collaboration with maybe an international agency, do you?
Yes, Prof.
How do you now explore opportunities for vets using those agencies?
So I think from my own small experience, and rightly so, the people are looking for us more than we are looking for them.
Good.
So sometimes we are staying at a position where we think that there are limited opportunities.
Okay.
And when I have young people around me, the first thing I want to tell them or let them know is that they have their thoughts upside down. That these opportunities are so numerous. People are looking for value everywhere. And the African continent has a lot of this opportunity. And what we have as an advantage is our understanding of the local context. In fact, I think the average person knows more that can be valuable to international communities more than we give ourselves credit for. The only thing that is lacking is the organization of this information and the wherewithal to communicate it in such a way that the world understands the peculiar needs that African faces. And one of the key examples, especially for me personally, Professor Fasina has, littered up a lot of some of these paths, because what we need is for somebody to just try and touch light and say this is the way to go. I remember calling him last weekend over a challenge I was having, and the way I replied the mail was not so much okay. And he told me that he had similar challenges in the past, and then he replied their mail, told me how to reply the mail, and then he shared his experience with me, and that was the exact thing I did. So there are more opportunities than we can. That's more than enough for every one of us. Platforms like these that illuminates the light into the path young people needs to take, or Nigerian vets generally needs to take, are much more needed. And I want to thank Dr. Charles also for providing a platform like this that people get to pick up valuable lessons and then get to use. But there are opportunities. We just need to know how to engage them, and they are looking for us.
Okay. And as I've mentioned earlier, please, whenever colleagues come across such opportunities, they should make them available across all platforms so that people can apply for them.
Yeah, please, if you permit me, the chair, let me just add a little to what Dr. Femi just said now. For example, when you talk of opportunity that we are not even aware of, I will use an example of Newcastle and Gumboro and some of these diseases that we have. Do you know that in South Africa, the South African University, the underserved faculty, has an arrangement with the school in the Netherlands, the vet school in the Netherlands, because when they produce their vets had never seen, they've never seen a case of Newcastle. So these students were prepared, and in their final year, they sent them to South Africa to come and observe what Newcastle look like. And for every student that come, the university in Netherlands pays the university in Pretoria €750 one. And apart from that, they also pay for their accommodation, pay for their stay and everything in South Africa. So you see, that's an opportunity, which I'm sure that a number of us, we actually play with, and we've eaten chicken that had died of Newcastle, or that is having torticollis and things like that, and we even play with them. So but we never see that opportunity. And somebody saw that opportunity elsewhere and began to utilize it. So we need to learn how to be converting the challenges around us into opportunity and benefit from it rightly. Partnership, for example, I'm sure the Vet Council, I know the Vet Council is on the issue of this regional competency framework now, so that possibly vets from Nigeria can go to other countries in the West Central African region to practice. So these are some opportunities we have, and we need to keep using it. The world is a global village now. If you refuse to move, people will leave you behind, and people will keep moving on. That is it.
So there are two questions for you, Professor Fasina, from Ikechukwu Igbope. The first one, said, thanks, Professor Fasina, keep supporting your home front. But the second one is the question.
Yes.
Professor Fasina, do you speak French or Swahili?
Yes, I have some competencies in both. I'm still improving, but I have some competencies in both.
Okay, and I guess it gives you advantage too.
Definitely.
Which means you must have an additional foreign language as an advantage.
Yes, foreign language is good for you if you can speak. Indeed, my children now speak German, they speak Afrikaans, they speak, indeed, one speak Spanish and speak so many languages.
Which I think is an advice for people to enroll, even if it is a short duration course in French or any other foreign language, as they wait for opportunities.
Yes,
there's another comment.
Another question on the postgraduate degree in epidemiology of public health.
Good. So there's another question from Dr. Gloria Daminabo.
Yes.
So thank you, Professional.
No, Fasina is on it. Fasina is on it.
Okay. Yes, this particular question, indeed, just yesterday, we had an intern who is from Jos, who is working with us here in the headquarters now. And she came to me yesterday and said, Prof, that they told her that for her to be qualified, she can only have postgraduate in epidemiology and not in vet public health or this or that. And I told her, I said, come, sit down, let's talk about it. And I let her know that, one, in most cases, it is not, your postgraduate is relevant, not that I'm dismissing it, But it is not in what school or in what area you did it that matters, but in what you can show as your skill after you finish. Postgraduate is not just about another degree because I don't have anything doing. Postgraduate is about building skills, specific skills in you. For example, I've known professor of zoology who is heading health-related institutions. Indeed, currently, there is a One Health position that was recently filled in Pretoria. The person who won the position was a professor of zoology. So he came from the zoology department to come and win the position, and she's handling large grants now, large million grants on that field. So apart from just going for your postgraduate study, you can choose what catch your fancy, whether epidemiology, public health, vet public health, indeed global health. The thing is so dynamic now. Don't even limit yourself only to this traditional degree. There are so many innovative degrees now, from One Health, masters in One Health, masters in, indeed, with the University of Belgium. I have a collaboration. Now they have a master's called the Masters in Global Health for the South. So, and these are innovative programs in terms of delivery, in terms of content, and in terms of skill they want to build in the graduate of those courses. For example, from that Masters in International Health for the Global South, I do have 2 interns that come to me every year. And a number of these interns, I've seen them, for example, as soon as they finish, they get either a job or they get a PhD opportunity. For example, I was talking to one recently, is in Australia now, in their university in Adelaide, and it's already got a position now. I know another one who had got another leadership position. I know another person who got into World Bank position through this. So don't only think of traditional degree and say, oh, you must do this to be able to do this, or you must do that to be able to do that. Just make sure that whatever degree you're having in your postgraduate is relevant, is building skills in you. Because when you go for interview, your certificate, people look at your certificate 1 minute and they keep it aside, and they now begin to engage with you. And it is what you can deliver in your engagement that matters, not what you carry on your certificate. Indeed, by the time they finish the interview, I tell you, half of the panel may forget what certificate you have. But they are looking more at the
we are still taking questions or comments from the audience. Is there anybody?
Before questions start flowing, Professor Fasina, what have you to say about ISAVET and the TAT program? Is it a gold mine too?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the ISAVET program is innovative. The thing is that when we were designing the ISAVET program, I know about it because I was part of the people that designed it. You know, we actually gave the job to Texas A&M University in the US to lead the development, because they have, you know, the Texas A&M has a large extension program. So they've reached out through so many opportunities in the US and the North American territory. So they have a lot of experience in reaching out to the last mile. That's people on the ground and all those things. So we partnered with them in developing this content. And that content is really very good. Indeed, we've asked some university that had approached us and said, please, can we borrow some of the content of ISAVET and include in our master's program for maybe public health or for epidemiology or for this or for that. So that particular program built competence, which is very good. Its field is equivalent to FELTIP in terms of its competence. Although I know FELTIP has 3 levels, has a master's level, has a middle level, and the junior level. So the ISAVET is equivalent to about, I think, the middle level or the first stage of the FELTIP. But when you finish from it, it prepares you to be able to handle everyday challenge that has to do with epidemiology. And let me give you a quick instance. In Kenya, we had the US ambassador to the UN visiting us in Kenya. And when he was there, he together with the American ambassador to Kenya, they went to the field, specifically to Isiolo County. And when they got to Isiolo County, they met with the governor of the county, and he was telling them, oh, thank you for what you are doing for us. Indeed, you trained one person for us in ISAVET, and that person is heading, so they took her to that person's office. And this person sat in front of the computer and began to display what he can do with the information he's collecting from the field. And from that point in time, you can imagine the ambassador was tweeting what she was saying. She was tweeting it on the internet. So the embassy officials have no option than to begin to tweet and follow the ambassador, because the ambassador cannot be tweeting and you are watching. So they were tweeting. Then somebody from embassy called me and said, "Hey, have you seen what is happening on the tweet now? You better go there and retweet this thing." And we, as one of the agencies they funded, we have to go and begin to retweet the same thing to make sure that it has wider dissemination. So this is part of the thing that can be done. And that is why in the delivery of this service in the country, you will see that VCN is possibly carried along in Nigeria. And this is because of the certification, the competence, the number of credit units that you can obtain after you get Isabet. The only best way by which you can then utilize this Isabet mentee very well is when they finish, make sure you put them in competent position where they can use the skill they've learned. For example, in Tanzania, that is almost a given. Every year, once they have that crop of Isabet, they look for positions that has to do with EP, that has to do with One Health, that has to do with leadership in those areas. They key them in there to begin to lead it. Indeed, the National One Health platform in Tanzania and Kenya are filled with a number of people who have undergone Isabet training. So it's a very good program.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. So, question from the audience. Who has a question? Or comment?
From Amina.
I can see Dr. Mrs. Olajumoke. Do you have any comment, ma?
No, there's a question on the chat box.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I can answer that question from Amina Salio. Okay.
Yes.
So she asked that, what advice do you have for someone who had been applying for this position for years without any luck, even when they feel qualified? So you see, as I mentioned it partially before, and I use the example of the person I say applied then for a position. I didn't get it. When you look at the application procedure, first go to the minimum requirement. Make sure you fill all those minimum requirements. And you may have that skill, you may not even know you have it. So look at it critically and review that part of minimum requirement, because that is what qualifies you to move into the second stage. You know, for example, we are looking for 6 interns. We have 372 applications, and we want 6. And we want these 6 to be diverse. So definitely we will put so many criteria first. So we first design an Excel, put all the criteria we want as the minimum requirement, put all the application into it, and we rasterize it and say, anyone that failed in any of these qualifications, automatically select him out. So in that wise, you may even have so many other strengths that will have stand you in a better position, but because you've automatically been selected out, you are not qualified on the short list. So make sure you pay attention to those minimum requirements, put in your best foot forward, and make sure that you do it. And when it comes to you've been doing this so many years without luck, don't feel discouraged. Indeed, you know, star only need to shine once for it to be known.
Exactly.
If you know, the first time they pick you or they select you for something and you go and you deliver your competence, you can never be ignored from that time onward, because you'll be rostered, and every time they go back and see your report, somebody say, that person is somewhere there, let's get back to him or her. So please, I will encourage you, don't get discouraged, but make sure that you also review, even when you see, when you fail an interview or when you fail an application, you also have the right to ask, exactly what did I do wrong? Recently, I was involved in helping to select people for a program launched by Epix Analytics for West and Central Africa. And, you know, I was not impressed by just the people that got accepted. I was impressed by a few individuals who came back through email and keep asking, please, what did I do wrong? I want to know so that I can prepare myself better against the next time. Those are the people that make the impression on us the most.
Okay. There's another question on the chat.
No, it's a student.
Good morning.
A
Student volunteer.
Yeah, it's a student. My name is Owopetu, a 500 level student, College of Medicine, Federal University of Agriculture, FUNAP.
Yes.
Sir, as a food safety personnel enthusiast, I hope to do my project under veterinary public health and preventive medicine, though through the topic food safety evaluation using participatory epidemiology. So my question is,
are there opportunities?
are there opportunities for student volunteer? I have done my little research, but I've not seen none as of now.
Okay, let me just answer you straight away. The answer is yes, and I will put some caveats to that yes. When I say yes, undergraduate is qualified for volunteer position, and I think if I at the count, maybe I've dealt with more than 20 volunteers. But for example, the UN, most of the UN system, FAO, WHO, UNDP, and all those things, we only open window for volunteer twice a year. Indeed, under the junior program, we have volunteer, interns, and fellow. Fellow are people who are either doing their PhD or have recently finished their PhD and they want to get engaged to know some of the UN system. Interns are maybe fresh graduate or people in their immediate final year who are almost finishing or in their masters who want to do 6 months and then possibly the second 6 months. And volunteers can be anybody because interns, people who qualify for intern can also qualify for volunteer. While volunteer can be ageless, there is no age limit. Interns, I think, cutoff is about 32 years. If you are older than 32, you are considered too old to be an intern. So there are so many opportunities with this. And then the difference between the interns and the volunteer is that the interns will get salaried, maybe up to about $700 a month. The volunteers cannot get salaried. But if all of you go to the field or you do any other specific thing, you are paid for those specific things you do when you are in the field or things like that. And so there is a lot of opportunity. And when I say the opportunity is there is that as we speak, indeed, just about 2 months ago, a young man approached me and said, oh, he wanted to apply for, there is a World Food Program youth assembly that they were looking for people for who will serve on that youth assembly for about a year. The young man is a Nigerian. Indeed, he finished from Sokoto, and after serving, he came to East Africa, he did some work, and he said, sir, I would like to apply for this opportunity. And I wrote a reference to him, and I tell you as we speak now, he's in the World Youth Assembly on World Food Program for the next 1 year. So there is a lot of opportunity. Also, from institutions, many schools abroad, people are applying for this position every day. Indeed, I came out of the FAO, I think this last week, and I met 2 young girls outside the gates and we got talking. And one of them said, oh, do you take volunteers? I said, of course we do. And they said, oh, actually, the other one was saying, I benefited from volunteership before. They are in the field of communication. And this other one from Algeria was saying she will also want to apply for such opportunity. So the opportunities are there. For the fellowship, intern, and volunteers, I think the window opens March and also opens September every year. It opens twice a year. March up until June, and then September up until December. That's for FAO. I think for WHO it's also similar, but you can check online, type volunteer fellow is for FAO. And you don't need to wait until you graduate to apply for this. For example, we have a young lady with us now called Jemima. So she's from Jos. Her parent lives in Jos. And she finished from Makurdi, the University of Makurdi, the veterinary faculty in Makurdi. And she applied while she was still finishing university. Now she's here. She's completing 6 months. Indeed, she was part of the team that came to do expert lecture on PPR in MVRI very recently. She just came back and she had also been to Morocco through that program. So the opportunity is there. If you don't, they say when the food is before you and you are dying of hunger, but you don't eat. It is your lack of knowledge that kills you, not the fact that you don't have food. So this is how I can conclude on this.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you very much, Professor Fasina. Do we still have any more questions?
There are 2 people here that might talk to us.
Okay.
Somebody like Abiade and Associate Professor Ikogu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours, sir. Abiade. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
So today you were dressed. Last week you said you were not dressed properly.
Even today, I'm not.
All right, it's good to have you, sir.
I always take my time on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm so happy for what I'm hearing, and I want to say big thank you to Professor Fasina, and you, I mean, Prof, and Dr. Ibi, my friend. Seriously, all that you have been saying, they are so genuine. But my own challenge with our products, our graduates, that many of them are still so I don't know whether to say nonchalant or not prepared for this type of challenges or opportunities. And maybe we need to go down to the university and begin to enlighten them, because these opportunities are so many, and that many of them they want to go abroad, but they want to go and do the menial jobs. Why the serious why these good opportunities are available. So now, even for them to even come for this speaker program, they are not here. So Prof, you said that when these opportunities come, we should put it out there. Even many of them, when you put them out, they still believe that they don't have the skills to apply for some of the skills. So there needs to be a paradigm shift amongst our colleagues to understand that some of these things are not so difficult to attain. But I think from the university level, from when they are final year, somebody needs to really get to them and enlighten them. Just as Professor Fatino said, the food is in front of you, but you don't even know that the food is there. So many opportunities are there, but they don't even know what to do to get that food. So I think we need maybe the lecturers or the different colleges need to bring people to talk to them. Imagine Professor Fatino speaking to final year students in most of the universities. You know the impact it will, So the universities too, they need to change their attitude, they need to bring people from the town to the ground so that there will be better interactions. But when some of them came to my practice to come to go and do the IT, some of them saw so many things that they have never seen in their life. So those exchanges are so important. And in Wasaba, where World Small Veterinary Association, for instance, we invite students to be in our committees. And I'm so grateful to God that one of them from FUNAB applied, and she was accepted, and she's going to be a member of a committee, in Wasaba. So these opportunities are so many, but even translating it to this, our students, our graduates, they are so problematic. They will never come around, as Dr. Ibe used to say. They don't want to participate in association activities. They feel that they need to be spoon-fed. There needs to be a total paradigm shift. I expect most students, most graduation students to flock this program. But where are they? That is what is still aching my heart. I pray that there'll be a change. There'll be a serious paradigm shift in our graduates, our students, our colleagues, to attain and to uptake some of these opportunities. Professor Washington, thank you for doing a good job.
Yeah.
Professor
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for acknowledging me as one of your friends.
Thank you very much, sir.
Professor Ike Igbokwe is here.
Sir, before that, I want to a rider on what Prof just said. You mentioned something very important. Not only our undergraduate, even our graduate, when they leave school, they have very limited knowledge on where they can fit in. And it is the responsibility of the lecturers, I believe, to open up their minds as to the opportunities out there. Yesterday, the president of the MVA, Dr. Moses Arokoye, was in Zaria specifically to meet the students. He gave them a long lecture. He was able to motivate them, open up their minds as to the opportunities that wait for them out there. At the end of it, the students were thrilled and were very happy. And honestly, we are very impressed with it.
Yes.
Those are the kind of things we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Professor Igbokwe will be on the, because Igbokwe, he was one of the students, senior student that really mentored me at UNN. Yeah, his intelligence then was unquestionable. Okay. And I used to go to his room to ask him, and I will to ask him a lot of questions. I think that there should be a connect now from what he was doing to me in those days to now what I want him to do right now. So please,
in fact,
Professor Igbokwe is a professor of avian pathology.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, at the University of Maiduguri.
Professor Fasina,
I don't want to say other things about him, why he will never leave Maiduguri.
Our students approach me on how they can have audience with you, Professor Fasina.
Yes. Yeah, I think you see, there are many ways of doing these things right now through virtual.
So I think maybe we'll organize a Zoom between you and the students.
No, you can whatever mechanism. Now we have the Microsoft. There are through which he can address the students.
We have done it with
anywhere. Yes. We'll do that. Personally, I had gone to University of Abuja 2 times, University of Makurdi once. I was in I'm at the Bello University 3 months ago. I mean, just to, you heard about that, just to talk to the students and flare up the mind of the students, because the social engineering need to be at the boarding spot. Because if you miss those boarding spots and the mindsets have been made or retuned in the wrong direction, it's very difficult to dismantle it. That's one thing I found out with my colleague. Not many of us are very inquisitive to learn. And I have set up this platform for inquisitivity so that people can badge in. Students can see students are coming. And I expect if I give you Wakawa this, you send it to the students' platform. Let them come and enjoy part of this. Most of these things we are saying supposed to stand from the studentship years. Like somebody like me, while I was able to navigate very well because I played students union politics. Not that most of the skills I got in versatility, I got it from the faculty. Chikukogu will tell you if that is the case, no. But we were able to engage the Students' Union. And 2 times I served in the Students' Union Parliament, the 2 bicameral, the House of Reps and the Senate. And this is what I told them in Ahmadu Bello University. You start your skills, developing your leadership, community leadership skill in the university, because the university is a mini village.
Exactly.
There's
a comment from Dr. Femi, but I prefer he voice it out on the platform.
No, he will voice it out. So,
Dr. Femi, guys, can you just
no, let Ikogo speak. Not let Igbokwe speak.
Okay.
After that, Ikogo. After Ikogo, Femi.
Dr. Igbokwe, sir.
Yes. Let's work on a trajectory, on seniority trajectory. So let Igbokwe speak.
Yes, sir.
Professor Igbokwe, please, you have the floor. Has he gone?
I think he just left. I think he just left. Maybe he's having an online problem. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can speak, sister.
Okay. Good morning, esteemed colleagues.
Good morning, ma'am.
On the Speak Out session this morning. You see one thing, the burden in the heart of my brother, Charles Ibe, to open this Speak Out section on Saturday mornings. I caught with it. Okay, right now, we are just 22 participants. I don't know those who have joined the YouTube. There's so much to do with information. But our people, we don't read. I was expecting that this kind of platform should be filled with people who want to learn, who want to grow, who want to contribute. growing up as a little girl, just like I call him Dayo, Fasina. Just like he said, growing up as a little girl, I was enthusiastic to do something different from the normal. Most people would want to be medical doctors, but I wanted something different. And so in my secondary school, I met a young man in UNN who was a friend to my elder brother reading veterinary medicine. And he came to my house one day and I was asking him, what is it? He said it's medicine for animals. Immediately, I picked interest. I said, I've seen that thing that is different I've been looking for. And so in my secondary school, I attended Federal Government Girls College, Owerri. I was the only student in 1983 that's filled in for veterinary medicine. My friends were saying, you want to treat animals? They were filling medicine, pharmacy, engineering. I said, I want something different. And that has been what has kept me in this profession. When I got to UNN, everybody I met was saying, we are sorry for you. This course, people know they pass. You go fail, you go stay long. Some people have stayed 10 years, 9 years. I didn't answer them. I made a promise to myself that I will not stay longer than 6 years. And to the glory of God, I graduated with 10 distinctions. And when I left, I don't know whether I would say fortunate or unfortunate, because I wanted to go to NVRI, Vaughan. I had heard so much about it, how they were producing vaccines, how they were doing research, and so many things. So I said I was going to NVRI, Vaughan, to see what was there and knew what they were doing. So I got married immediately I left school. And so that changed some of the things in my life, Even when I was called back as a graduate assistant, I couldn't really last because I was either, if I wasn't pregnant, I was carrying a baby, and the story. My story is so interesting. So after
I want to mention this Dr. Junedu is with us on the platform.
Okay. So that's what has brought me this far. And I remember sometime in my private practice, when we came out, there was no government employment. When I left UNN to come down to Onitsha with my family, there was embargo on government employment. The scenario was so bad. And then I ran into BBC as a private vet in Kaduna. One of the days, myself and my husband attended a Christian program in Kaduna. We ran into him and we saw what he was doing, and he advised me to do likewise. I came down, I set up a poultry and started my practice. Even then, we didn't believe in private practice. Everybody was looking for government job. But to my surprise, my private practice blossomed so much. And sometime along the line, I found myself raising fishes in my compound. I found myself reading about fish diseases in the manual, MEX manual.
Manual.
I found out they had a lot. That 50th edition, BBC, you bought it for me in US.
Yes.
You remember? You bought it for me at 50th. Yes, you bought it. I collected it in Kaduna. And then I found out there were so many.
I bought it at Tuskegee. Bought it at a bookshop in Tuskegee.
Yes. And I found out there were many chapters of the aquatic diseases. And that was how I developed the fish farm in my house. I started seeing those fishes. And to my greatest, we did so little fish medicine in school. So I started reading so much about fish pathology, fish medicine, and all that. And one day my husband said to me, why don't you go for a master's in fisheries? And that's how I went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University Department of Zoology. I did my master's in fisheries, did my PhD in fisheries. And when the college program came up in 2014, I applied for fellowship in aquatic veterinary medicine. And that's how I have been. How did I get into the university back way? When I got into the Department of Zoology, they were about starting the agri faculty in Nnamdi Azikiwe University. My professor recommended me for the job because I had the skill when Fasina talked about scale, today we have people who are teaching, for example, in my department, they are teaching fisheries, but they cannot restrain a fish. Skill development is very important in what we are saying today.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I didn't go to look for a job, but when my professor found out I had skills in handling fishes, skills in knowing so much about fishing, the practical side of it, they gave me the job as a technologist. Then I hadn't finished my master's. And from technologist, I was converted to lecturer. Today, I'm an associate professor. And I've headed that department 5 years, 2014 to 2019, 2021 till date. So that's what Fasina is saying. Skill, skill, skill. We need to encourage our young ones to develop skills, either on the private platform or on the public platform in so many areas. Vets are doing well in so many areas, even in banking, even in other areas, even in insurance, even in business, So what is my worry is that our people are not patronizing the opportunities on these platforms. I remember when I had an opportunity to apply for a Fulbright visiting scholar, I was calling Dr. Fasina every day. And Dr. Fasina has never, if I chat him, he replies, as busy as he is. When I was going to his university for a program, World Aquatic Animal Health in University of Pretoria,
Prof, I guess the
Prof,
time
it's
is gone
okay.
now. You have to summarize.
I think
People are raising hands.
Dr. Junaid has crashed out or something like that.
Yeah, Dr. Junaid from Kano is raising his hand. I'm sure you want to say
okay.
Yeah,
So,
he's a member of the presidential committee on this livestock reform.
So I want to really thank BBC and Professor Wakama. Last week we were together. You talked to us about avian influenza and all that. Let's try to get our people interested in this information. That information is power. Professor Fasina, Dayo, I call you. Thank you so much for always being there. In the next few days, you will also be speaking to us at the continuing education. Yeah. So let's see how we can, he keeps saying, changing challenges to opportunities. Okay. We will never give up. Personally, I still want to build myself more and more. Even though I'm going to 58, but I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to also impact my younger generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this inspiring words.
And I think Wakawa, is there any way can get his Zoom is not on? Get on to Dr. Junaid.
Okay.
Can you get him on phone? He just crashed out. He's a member of this newly reconstituted.
I think he just appeared, raised his hand.
He raised his hand, maybe something. He's no more.
While we're trying to get him, is there anybody with a question?
Yeah, Femi has to speak.
Femi, you posted something. I would like the audience to hear it from your mouth. Yeah.
Femi, unmute yourself. Good.
Okay, sir. No, so it's still just in furtherance to what I said earlier, that I think
we are with you.
We are with you. I think he's having some glitches. He's having some glitches. And has it crashed out?
Right. Professor Fasina is so open. Sometimes I wonder why people don't overbug him with calls. So it's like what you're looking for in Sokoto is in your Sokoto. I think that's really our story in Africa. And for every young vet on this platform and every platform, pay the price to have a relationship, because you could see the opportunity and still not be able to engage it unless somebody who has done it before and has achieved the measure of success pulls you through, holds your hand. I know Prof. Fasina is willing to. He's a member of Farmalat's advisory board. Sometimes people admire what Farmalat does, but we have a very solid advisory board. People who come in, who talk to us, we're open. We prioritize them talking to us more than we talking to ourselves. And that's what it would take for you to be able to at least move forward faster than what your normal trainings or your normal learnings can do. So that's just all I wanted to emphasize, that they are there, but we on our own part, not on their own part. Professionals shouldn't be struggling to reach us. We should be the ones struggling to reach him and learn from him so that we can reproduce his result and maybe even better.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Femi. On this stretch, we have members that tactically and technically, we have a platform and we have a meeting spot for us to be able to put this thing in place. Dr. Archie Jeff and Dr. Gloria, these are two ladies resonating in brilliance and beauty, compacted at the same time. We have Dr. Femi Kayode. These are the three right now. Myself, where are the four right now? They are really people beneath the skin and trying to see what we can do to be upping the ladder, upscaling the ladder. We have an irrevocable determination to inform people, whether through social engineering. Let me see, maybe you said this guy is calling me. Let me see. Junaid is calling me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, the network is not too good. It's not connecting. Can you call him and tell him that since he's not connected, somebody should call him? You have his number. Yeah, call him on phone and tell him to join back so that he can make some comments. Yeah?
Okay. I'll do that.
So, hello, Junaidu. Morning, please join us. You Christ out. We wanted you to make.
So while we're waiting for the call, if we have another person that wants to ask,
he has some. He's moving from Abuja to Kaduna, so he has some glitches on the road. Network.
oh,
That's
okay,
how he clash, and he's trying
his
to
network
join.
will be poor. Yes.
So,
is there anybody with a final question for?
Well, let's call this young vet, Dr. Yemisi Adeyemi.
So he's not a young vet. He's a vet.
She looks very young.
No, the word young in veterinary medicine now is beginning to disappear.
Okay, what does she look like?
All
she
right.
Looks like...
Yeah.
Yemisi, please, you can unmute
Dr.
yourself.
Yemisi, go ahead.
Unmute yourself. Yes, thank you, sister. Because we need young people to participate. Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
The network is bad. Your network is not doing well.
Your network is unstable.
Yeah, we are hearing you now.
I just came in now. Okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I just joined. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just joined now. I just joined the meeting now.
Okay. Okay, that means you okay.
Hello,
you can.
Sir.
Yeah, you're not really.
You don't have anything to say. You just joined, right?
She just joined. She doesn't have much to say.
I just joined now.
Okay.
Well, I think, sir, we'll now give Professor Fasina some time to make some final comment because time is
of essence.
Yes, you make a good summary of how opportunities can be accessed, where to find them, and then any other recommendations, sir.
And whether you'll be available in school, so can you have an online training session, technical training session. Right. I think the problem we have in our universities is this faculty thing, science, cyanobacteria, bacteriology, pharmacology, blah, blah. But there's some technical issues. I remember when we were in UNN. I hope I've not muted myself. I remember when we were in UNN, many people came from outside as guest lecturers. And students unionism, people like Ubemudia, people like Olushola Saraki, they came to give us public lectures. who was the Senate leader in those days under MPN. I'm talking about 83, 80, and thereabout. They all came to the campus. Fela Nicola Bokuti. They are all guest lecturers that came. Balarabe Musa, a lot of people. So the university is supposed to have, it's a melting point, actually, for socialization. And then we need social engineers, even technical social engineers, to go and reset the mindset.
Yes.
So that's all. I think we should be rounding up by now.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for...
but we need to give Professor Fasina a few minutes to summarize.
Final word.
For the benefit of those who
yes.
joined later.
So thank you very much for giving me this platform to start with. As much as I said, I said it that I very much feel like part of this family. So I'm not an outsider in the first instance. I want to say that effective people are not opportunity, or they are not problem-minded. They are opportunity-minded. You see, for every problem you see, there is an opportunity. There is a saying that two men look out from the prison bar. One saw the star, one saw the mud. It depends on how you look. So the perspective is always the same. In the same situation, you are saying, oh, there is no job, there is no job. We have people who are changing job on daily basis. And it's not every one of them that have connections and big this thing that you can say exists. So the young people have to prepare their mind and say, okay, this is how far I want to go. This is the bar I want to reach. This is what I want to do. Connecting with the right mind is important. For example, I was listening to somebody recently say, if you see a person moving with three rich persons, it's likely to become the fourth rich person. If you see a person moving with three people without who are just abstract, that person is likely to become the fourth one. That the type of company you keep may in a way influence who you become. So we need to begin to think rightly. Secondly, Dr. Abiade and a few of the people who have spoken I cannot put much better than what they said. For example, I've been hearing of this issue of town and gown for a very long time. We need to actually begin to make it practical. Drag the town to talk with the town, the gown to talk with the town, and have this multilateral platform. For example, one of the success I know that the universities in South Africa uses is this. Most of the universities in South Africa work like they operate like a business. At the end of the year, you do your business plan. At the end of the year, you evaluate the business plan to see if it admits what you do. For example, a lot of the research funding and everything that happens in South Africa don't even come from government. It comes from the industry, because there's industry and university system talk. And when I say university system, I'm including polytechnic, every institution of higher learning that can be covered under this. There need to be this robust engagement with the people who are in business, who are in different fields, to talk to them. And I really will encourage that this platform, we have this type of session that is throughout the year. Even Bluebird can partner with the university and say, okay, can we help you organize maybe guest lecture who will talk to maybe final year students, people in the middle level of their education and all those things, to encourage these kids and to begin to give them focus even before they finish. You know, the success you can achieve in the profession is depend on the individual successes collected together and pushed forward as a total sum. I tell you, the vet profession today is prouder of itself than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And we cannot afford to rest on our horse. Otherwise, other professions will begin to overtake us and move ahead of us. So it has to be a constant, we call it a moving target. You have to keep shooting. You see a bird when it's flying, you keep shooting until you catch it. This is how we operate our model in terms of improving our profession. Thank you very much once again. And we want to hang in at this point in time.
Thank you very much, Professor Fasina. We are really happy with all this that you have said. And at this point, I would like to say my tenure as chairman have just ended. I will now hand over back to my employer.
How can I employ you? I can't untie your sandals. Anyway, thank you very much. One more thing I want to say is that to have over 200 million Nigerians, and they must eat animal protein, and we have our input in animal protein. And a lot of challenges are coming up, like security, which we're supposed to partner with. I have said it, 10, 12,000 veterinarians. Food animal practice alone can mop up the whole 12,000 if things are being set in proper perspective. So that's it. That which means in fact, Nigeria can employ over 100,000 vets if if the strategies are all right. And that's why I had wanted Dr. Junaidu, who is just appointed to be member of 25 presidential committee on livestock reform. I think we are 3 vets there. I know about 2, and one-on-one with 2, Dr. Junaidu and AIG Aisha Abubakar. Because we need to load them up before they appear there. They are not appearing there on their terms. They are appearing there on our terms. I will try to speak with him today so that he can carry I will name a lot of people he will be talking to, and then things he will need us to do from our own end so that we can front load him with things they can able to take in proper perspectives. And I thank President Tinubu for this initiative, because we've been shouting on this animal resources ministry. When the federal government refused, some states started, like Borno, Jigawa, Sokoto, most states started to have their own animal resources. I remember as NVMA president, my vice president was appointed.
Borno State had this ministry since when I was a student.
Yeah,
Ministry of Animal Resources,
yes.
Animal and Forestry Resources.
The NVMA school I presided. The vice president was appointed as an executive commissioner in Borno State Executive Council. That is Sandabe, Professor Sandabe. He was appointed to be a member of the State Executive Council, supervising the Ministry of Animal Resources, Livestock and Fishery Resources. So, and then he was on that until our tenure flux. So what I'm trying to say is that this initiative now coming at the atypical level in our system, I think the initiative, if well organized, if not disorganized, a lot of things will come out of place. All these employment opportunities will be there. But one thing I tell veterinarians is, when you look at opportunity, like me, I created my own opportunity. I started as a pedestrian ambulator, until I promoted into half Okada, half trek in subsidized ambulatory, until I started to move on that. So that's in that trajectory. So that's why there's nothing you can talk about livestock. I can't be able to at least make out a point, no matter how stupid it is.